I started the medical process at 13 with puberty-blocking drugs and cross-sex hormones to make my body look more masculine, and the surgery at 15. When it hit me that one day I wanted to become a mother, that I was starting to grow up, that my worldview in general was starting to mature a little bit, and things in life weren't always how I thought they were. And it hit me that I was just ill-equipped to be going down a path like this that would permanently affect me. Not just psychologically, but physically and potentially reproductively. The very thought that these procedures could have taken away my ability to have kids, and knowing that I never would be able to nurse my children in the future, was very heartbreaking. But it also was what gave me the courage to finally step back and to reject the ideology that I was sold by my doctors.
Chloe Cole is joining us today here on the Meeting House on Faith Radio, someone who is known as a detransitioner, speaking truth into our culture, featured in the film Truth Rising from Focus on the Family and the Colson Center. Joining us today at Faith Radio Meeting House Media Central at the 2026 National Religious Broadcasters Convention in Nashville. So your worldview was changing. You were making deeper considerations about the course of your life. And so what was going on spiritually in your life during this whole time period as you began to think, well, maybe this isn't what I was really seeking?
I think, in a sense, the identity crisis that I was going through at that time was almost a universal experience in my generation, because we were born in the midst of a culture that does not value Christ, that does not put God or the church at the forefront anymore. And so even in good, well-meaning households that are led by faith, children can be led astray. Now, my mom and dad did not really raise me in a particularly Christian household. They were both raised Christian, but as I got older, they became more atheist, more agnostic, and so for most of my life, I was an agnostic as well, and I believed in science above everything else, which I'm still somebody who is very interested in science, but I believed in it so much during that point in time that it led to me living a lie. And without that spiritual backbone, without scripture, and without prayer, and my own relationship with God guiding me during the tumultuous childhood I had, it was a very confusing time for me that became very dark as I got deeper and deeper into this transition. But when I detransitioned, it's not like that darkness immediately went away, but it did make way for the final parts of that initial darkness to crumble, and eventually for it to be lifted, and for other people to come to my life, and for me to be able to listen as they evangelize to me, which eventually led to my faith journey that I'm on today.
Chloe, at what point did you actually believe that God was calling you to speak out? Of course, after all, you had been on this transition journey, and then you made the decision to go in a different direction, and you could have lived your life in relative obscurity, but you made a decision to go public, and you did so in what has become a big way. So tell me about your process of really discovering that's what God's call on you was.
Well, my public speaking journey began with really just a Twitter account and a dream, and it's evolved into so much more since then. I started posting on social media hoping that it might help one person, and then suddenly thousands of followers just started rolling in and became tens and then hundreds of followers, hundreds of thousands of followers.
Wow.
Who were following me as I started to speak on legislation to protect children throughout the United States. And then I was being invited to speak at college campuses and then churches.